Hi everybody, how are we all doing? I hope we're having a good weekend so far. So today is Sunday the 9th of March 2014 and we are here with another edition of Arrow Character Spotlight, and this week we are talking about Laurel Lance. Yes, that's right, Quentin Lance's first daughter and Oliver Queen's one-time girlfriend, or at least a few times in their lives. So what is it we know about the character? Well, Laurel in Arrow, she is former attorney, district attorney at Starling City. Obviously, CNRI was where she was working till it got destroyed, and she was then working for another prestigious law firm till her life started going downhill because she was taking drugs. And when she found out that Sarah was alive, she went completely nuts. Then she sort of lost her way as such. She hasn't really been the person that we knew in season 1. She's, as I say, her life is really starting to deteriorate. It could well be picking back up, but again, I think she's going to really hit rock bottom by in the next few episodes, I believe anyway. And I'm still under the strong thought that if Sarah, or should Sarah die by the end of season 2, that will give reason for Laurel to take up the Black Canary mantle as such. But the character Laurel in the comics, she's initially known as Dinah Laurel Lance because her mother, who was also the original Black Canary, was known as Dinah Drake Lance. And so there's a confusion there. So you really have to gauge the history really well to understand Laurel's position in the whole Black Canary saga. She actually, whilst in Arrow, Laurel doesn't have, or as yet we don't know, doesn't have like the Canary Cry or anything. She does have. She's really good at hand-to-hand combat because her dad taught her self-defense and everything. So she's very good. We've already seen a few of that at last season, and I think in the beginning of this season as well. So there's a few hints about her abilities in terms of how she can look after herself. Sarah Lance was the one who showed the, I think she showed the ability, but she used a device that mimics the Canary Cry. So how that's going to be incorporated into Laurel, we don't know. Is she going to have some sort of accident happen to her that's going to allow her to have the Canary Cry? Again, we don't know. So, but yeah, it has been said that in the comics, her Canary Cry was actually part of a metagene that she has had since birth, which is kind of strange because her father, who was a police officer, Harry Lance, I believe he was called, so in the TV show he's known as Quentin Lance, but they still kept the continuity in that he is a police officer. And her mother, Dinah Drake, didn't have a Canary Cry ability either, so both ordinary parents, but the daughter has some sort of metagene in her that allows her to have this Canary Cry ability. It is also stated that she doesn't really use the Canary Cry that often. She always prefers physical hand-to-hand combat. She prefers, one-on-one fights or fighting with a group of people because she can really handle herself. In the Justice League team, she's like one of the trainers. She's one of the mentors, and for all about sparring, training sessions and things like that. She's really good. She can handle herself. She's had dealings with the League of Assassins as well, Lady Shiva in particular, as we already know from the comics. So yeah, she's very formidable. As we know, before the relaunch of the DC comics, her and Oliver Queen got married and they had a child, which was Connor Hawke, and he then became the sidekick to Green Arrow. So it wasn't necessarily Roy Harper. We had the Connor Hawke was as such Green Arrow's sidekick later on. So there's, as I say, there's a huge back history for Laurel here, and there's so much potential for her in a TV show as well. I think the character Black Canary was created back in the 60s, if I just double check. Actually no, it was 1947, sorry. According to this, her first appearance was in the Flash comics, Flash 86. So she's been around for a very long time, which is good. I mean, the character Black Canary, but the different variations, obviously from Dinah Drake to Dinah Laurel, you know, those are the variations that we have had. The new 52 version is it's basically it's still Dinah, but I think she's just known as Dinah Lance. You know, I've not been reading any of the Birds of Prey comics, so I don't know the full extent of, you know, her identity in that. But she's part of Birds of Prey. She's working alongside who have we got here? Starling, Katana, Poison Ivy, and Batgirl as well. Whereas in the previous Birds of Prey, and Gail Simone will tell you this because she's written Black Canary. She loves the character. Previous Birds of Prey, it was Black Canary, Huntress, Lady Black Hawk, and I think also Batgirl was part of them as well. So yeah, quite an interesting mix as such of female characters there, which is good. But for the TV show though, I do think that should something happen to Sarah, then that will somehow open Laurel's eyes to then realise that this is not all about her, because so far she's just been focused on herself. And if you saw last week's episode, Time of Death, when Oliver basically gave Laurel a good talk down to say that yes, you know, you are suffering, yes, you're going through problems, but you know, you're not the only one. You know, he spent 5 years marooned on an island, thought to be dead by everybody else. I don't think you can get any worse than that, to be perfectly honest. So he basically gave her a wake-up call, and that's when she eventually made things up with Laurel, with Sarah as well. So I do think that something really bad will happen to Sarah, and Laurel's going to be forced to like realise, okay, this is no longer about me anymore. You know, this is my sister. She went through all this for me. It's time that I gave something back, or did something in her memory as such. So we'll see. That's all I'm saying. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Anyway, there will be no Arrow character spotlight next week because there's no Arrow on next week, which is a shame. So I'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll be having. There's going to be an announcement I'm going to make later on today. So do please look out for that. It's to do with my YouTube channel and such, of what's going to happen for the next several months anyway. So yeah, please keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. See you all very soon.